Hi guys, I'm back again with another Q&A for 10 questions. We're gonna go over them really quickly, starting with the first question. How many times am I on call? This varies because some facilities, they want you to be on call 3 times a week, but I'm barely on call anymore because most of my calls are given to my coworkers that loves to make money, that loves taking calls, because as previously mentioned, I told you guys that you can make a lot of money taking all these calls. I don't like taking calls, so they can all have it. So that's the reason why I'm not on call a lot. That's because of them. So kudos to my
Dr. Kashif, 3232. Dr. Kashif, please dial 3232.
okay. Do you lose sensitivity with gloves on? This is a tough one because this really depends on the type of glove you're gonna use. I use 7 under glove, which is the blue ones, and then I use Eclipse size 6 on top. The reason being is because I swell on my fingers and I want to have enough room for my fingers to expand, but also like not have my tips like have excess, because having excess on your gloves, on your tips, you're more prone to snagging on things. In some cases where there's no Eclipse, I have to use Surgeons, which is another brand. Those are a little tighter, but those are the only ones that are available in this facility. So it's kind of like a yes or no depending on the glove that you use. So if you go to clinicals, look through all the gloves that they have, try Eclipse. 7 under glove for me and 6 Eclipse. So just do your little routine, whatever your glove size is, just use those 2 brands, under glove and an Eclipse. All right, how hard is the program? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you guys. The program is pretty hard, and I heard from some of the students that there's a couple entrance exam that you guys got to go into, but I was lucky enough that I only took T's and it was really easy. It was just super basic stuff. The only thing that I really struggled is microbiology, and obviously the preclinical. I forgot what the program or the name of the class, but it was basically where you learn the instruments, and that's when I had my breakdown. Remember on my previous video I mentioned I had a breakdown because I'm like, I have no idea, like everything looks the same, they all look like scissors, and I'm not gonna lie, I did have a breakdown, but it's doable, okay? And it's even harder when you guys have kids, you have a full-time job. I'm fortunate enough that I was only working part-time in retail and I was in school, so I mean it was a total blessing. But again, not gonna sugarcoat I'm not gonna sugarcoat but it's definitely not easy. It's something that you really need to study for. How do you memorize the case? I don't memorize the case. I memorize the anatomy and the surgery itself, and I already know how to use the instruments, so I needed to learn how the surgeon's preference in the surgical setting works. You know what I mean? So for, like, let's say for lap chole, right? Every single doctor everywhere, it doesn't matter. You'll need a blade, you'll need trocars, you need some kind of insufflation, you need cameras, you need scopes, right? And everything else will fall into place. So basically just super basic stuff, and then you build on based on the preference of the surgeon. I will have an announcement at the end of the video, and I'll let you guys know how you could literally make this the easiest thing by I'm gonna give you guys advice, don't worry. What's the most complicated cases to learn? This is very subjective. This is for me. I had a really hard time grasping orthopedic. It was really hard for me, okay? It's simply because there's so many surgeons that were doing orthopedic in so many different ways. There's total knee, total shoulder, there's hips, there's, like there's scopes, and then there's open. It was just way too much. And I had to learn all of that in 3 months. And when I did my training, I was doing 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and I don't always get orthopedic, so it's kind of like you do, I don't know, like one case full orthopedic, and then you won't get back to it until like 2 weeks. So you kind of like don't retain stuff. So I learned it through just keep doing it during my actual job, and just writing notes, really, because you can't learn everything at once. You could be a fast learner. I was a fast learner, but it's definitely one of those cases that took me a while, and maybe that's because I didn't want to learn it, because I didn't like orthopedics, so I had no interest in it. So for example, like me, I loved vascular surgeries, and I learned it like that because I wanted to learn it. Nobody wanted to do triple A's, and I did, and I learned it so quick. It just depends, right? So that's up to you. Can an introvert work at this job? Absolutely, because I'm an introvert. I'm like 80% introvert. It doesn't sound like it on these videos, but like being social in the OR kind of gets you to places, because when you're sociable, people tend to like you and stuff. So that's how I got into this team that I have, and I'm so grateful. Like, they know me and I know them. You know, there's different personalities. You kind of just like learn, you know. Obviously you won't be super like friendly in one of these surgeons, but then you could be super professional in this one. You could be pretty laid back on this one. You know, you just kind of learn that along the job. But to get into the job, I think you kind of have to have your personality shine in your interview, because they want to see if you're going to fit in the OR environment, because the OR is very hard to get into, even with nurses. So they have to all, like, the personalities have to kind of like, you know. Do you know all the instruments? No, I do not know all the instruments, especially our VATS tray. Like, I don't think that it's very difficult to learn the VATS tray, because we barely do any VATS. So it's like when you do it, it's like, okay. It's a compromise between a nurse and me, and if there's like a bunch of clamps that I don't know the individual names for it, what we do is that we consolidate them. So having like, let's say like 10 different clamps, and we're just like, okay, we're just gonna count 10 clamps, okay? We're talking like vascular clamps. These aren't like cokers or hemostat, like clamps that have really specific names. So we just compromise, and we look at them and we consolidate, and that's how it works for us. How to deal with rude nurses. Yeah, this has I had a story about this too. So what I did is just be professional as possible. I mean, you just gotta do what you gotta do. If you're a tech, you set up your tech stuff, and if you want to go above and beyond, get the equipment for the nurses as well. Get the preference card, get to know the preference cards. That way when the nurse asks you, did you open this, did you open that, and you say, yes, it was on the preference card. Before you open any needles or sutures, some techs, what they like to do is open it and then keep the wrapper and give it to the nurses, because that's, you know, that's going up a step above, I guess, because now the nurses know how many needles you are, because so when you're counting, she has kind of like a proof if she wasn't there to help you open. Another thing, maybe just put her to the side and talk to them, and, you know, kind of talk about it. I mean, I did that once and she never really changed. Well, she did, but it took like, I would say, years for her to really accept that I have grown from a student to a professional person in the field, right? I have proven to her that I am worthy of the job, that I actually know what I'm doing, and I'm competent enough to know the surgery, the instruments, and the policies and everything. So, I mean, it's up to you. For me, I do it professionally as much as possible, and if it becomes like a bully thing, then take it up to the administration. So just go up above your the ladder. You know, I'm not like Dr. Field, you know, but I've experienced it, and I fixed it myself without going to charge nurse or administration, because it just takes a while. You know, people have different personalities, and something you just have to work with. You know, that's the OR. Okay. What if I'm not fast enough in setting up? Okay, being fast doesn't mean you're good. Let's just clear that out. Being fast doesn't mean you're good, because we have like techs that set up so fast, but then when you relieve them, everything is everywhere. Okay, like, be swift, be smart where you put your stuff, know where to put your stuff. And there's this, I think one of my clinical coordinator or whoever in school told me, the trick is not to touch whatever you're touching more than 2 times, because when you're setting up, if you're touching that bin, like let's say a emesis basin, too many times, then you're kind of like, you're just everywhere. So that takes skills and you need experience. So in order to get experience, you got to keep doing it. Okay, so for me, I have optimized how I set up, how I open. I like to open where they're supposed to be. So like, this is a table. Obviously I'm gonna put I put all the stuff that I'm gonna put on the mayo closest to the mayo stand. So the table is here. This is where I would open all my stuff, because this is my mayo. Because once I put my mayo stand cover, all the stuff that next to the mayo will go up to the mayo stand. That way I free up the space, and then I put my towel. Yeah, I think that's something that I have to show you guys instead of talking about it, because it's easier. Okay, next, will I get a job after school? Because I don't want to spend, student loans, and I'm not gonna get a job. That depends on the amount of work that you do, and also your connections inside the OR doing your clinicals. See, the clinicals, I think, are the very most important prerequisite for getting a job, because that's where you meet all the professional people. That's where you meet the nurses, the charge nurses, the doctors, the surgeons. And honestly, if you apply to that facility and they know you, that counts as like your reference. You know what happened to me? I applied to that job. It was like per diem at the facility that I did my clinicals. I had no reference. I have no previous experience in the operator. Absolutely zero, nothing. However, my clinicals there count as my references, and the surgeons that I worked with, fantastic, gave me thumbs up. They interviewed some of the nurses that I worked with, and they gave me a thumbs up. They liked me, and I was very I was in my clinicals as if I was working there. I wasn't there to just observe. I wasn't just in a corner just looking. I was there taking notes. The nurse needs something, I ask. I answer the phone, right? I take, if my nurse is very busy, I would take the phone and I would tell her. If they need an instrument, I would go in the instrument room and learn where things are, When somebody needs something in, like at the tech that I was shadowing, I would go in the supply room and figure out where things are. So you're working there. Like, forget about being a student. You're working there. So that's how you establish some type of relationship with them. And when you go and do the cases, doing your clinicals, you introduce yourself to the surgeon. Let them know. Make impressions. Impress them. Do what you gotta do. And have a relationship with the charge nurses and talk to the assistant director. That's exactly what I did. And that's how I got a job immediately after school. And the surgeons will vouch for you. You would even tell them, like, hey doc, I'm trying to apply. Can I use you as a reference? Yeah. Listen, it's easy, okay? It's easy. Just develop that relationship in the OR, And if people like yell at you or you don't know what you're doing, whatever, take it as a constructive criticism, okay? Be professional about it and just agree. Just agree to disagree, because you don't work there yet, but you will. So it's the attitude that goes a long way, your positivity. So once you get there, you're set. Everyone's gonna be training you. You're gonna take all these ideas from different people and they train you. You're gonna get to know the whole OR stuff. You're gonna get to know the orderlies, the anesthesia tech, surgeons, PAs, residents, nurses. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna learn Okay, so this video got way too long. It's 14 minutes. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for supporting my videos. Oh my god, we have like, I think it's 7,200 something, and this I don't even know what to say, but I have a book coming out, just so you guys know, if you haven't seen my post on YouTube. It's like barely new, like I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, so I'm coming out with a book. I think they're gonna be here tomorrow, so I'm gonna show you guys my unboxing. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be available really soon. I just need to figure out like if went really cool, like I get to preview the book. I will show you guys. So it's 20 common procedures, mayo stand setup. I'm gonna show you how to set up your mayo on the 20 common procedures with drawings, fully colored, and tips and advice from me. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I'm shaking, like my hands are really sweaty. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.